Hello, my name is Alex Benitez, and I'm the director of Moundville Archaeological Park. Welcome to one of the Southeast's most important Native American cultural heritage sites. Now known as Moundville, the ancient city behind me was once a major Mississippian cultural metropolis. At its height around 800 years ago, the city had more than 24 platform mounds of various heights surrounding this vast open area that we call a plaza. On top of the mounds and in the plaza, hundreds of structures were built as residences, work areas, play areas, craft working spaces, and places for performing important rituals and politics. Everyday life for thousands of Mississippi and Moundville residents occurred right here. But archaeologists also believe that much of this everyday life supported a grander goal. Moundville was a special place. It was a connection to the afterlife, a portal to the next world. Today we preserve and celebrate the city's past and its importance to many Native American people who consider Moundville a homeland. Historically, Central Alabama was home to Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Cherokee peoples. Many tribal members return to Moundville every year on special visits and during our fall celebration of Southeastern Native American cultures. Today, Moundville is protected as part of Moundville Archaeological Park, a unit of the University of Alabama Museums. It has been designated a National Historic Landmark, and it is also listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Established in the 1930s as Mound State Monument with the aid of the Civilian Conservation Corps, the park opened its original museum to the public in 1939. Over the past 80 years, much has changed in the park, but the mounds and interest in Mississippian past remain.
This video is sponsored by EBSCO Industries, Bank of Moundville, Moundville Telephone Company, and Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the virtual Moundville Native American Festival. My name is Lindsay Gordon, and I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator for the park, and thank you for joining us. Today, our special guests are the Mvskoke Language Program. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. So, here's a couple of reminders. While we are broadcasting, feel free to ask questions in the comment section. And as a reminder, this is all live, so anything can happen. So hang in there with us if we happen to have any issues. But now I'm going to turn it over to the Mvskoke Language Program. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. What do you have for us today?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having us. Well, I'm Rebecca Barnett, and this is Gracine Hicks. And we are full-blood descendants of the Muscogee Creek tribe, originally from Georgia and Alabama, and are fluent speakers of the Muscogee Creek language. And today I want to talk to you about the language. This language that we speak has survived through a lot of hardships and blood. So we proudly speak what was given to us. We speak this language proudly. That was given to us at the beginning of creation. And you know, the first indication of the written Creek language was in 1736. That's a long time. That's a long time. But we also have seen documents written in 1735. The language alphabet that was adopted in 1853, which we use today in our classes, is a way of teaching the students sounds that these letters, they represent sounds in a language. We use this to pronounce words correctly and to read and write the language. These sounds, they're letters, but they also, they represent sounds because our language is sounds. It's not, it uses sounds to pronounce the words correctly. And we've had a lot of people mispronounce our language. And that's like it's heartbreaking to hear our words being mispronounced. Our Muscogee Constitution was written in the language in 1867, and the first written article was published in 1870. And you know, that doesn't seem that long ago, but it is, you know. So, but the Muscogee Language Department and the Muscogee people has seen the decline in language speakers. At this point, you know, we're in really a situation where we don't have much speakers left. The loss is due to many factors, dating back to the removal, death caused by the Trail of Tears, forced assimilation, and boarding schools.
Onda monaho hidunga. Pomistagi obonaho yen. Manjikia didonga bonda. Mama. Muscogee longa mahonga. Onda gisi godonga.
Nagimawa, Nagmawa, Kumaha, when you got Mades, Uja, Kifagi, she can wear the desert. And you are Moin, Maha, you don't know.
Magisagiga, Hadi, Gisaga, Maha, don't go, Maubonagada.
Always, man, is the eat it. What says that you don't do as an keep it, what says that you don't go away those to home one.
And you're more in Bonaho, you did go away to one of chip.
Dying, man, and that Nakamaha, Pompanaho, the dogs in this longer.
Manjabosi, Madogos in Bonaidomats. Muscogee Bonaga, Steaky Bonaga, Gitsikon. Bonai Godon. Manjaboyo, Madegis in Bona OS, so the law a bit here. Mangislaga the way did he?
Muhata, welcome, man. Nagi Pondat, you know, man, Madigos in Bonaho in Legate Dunga. Oh, man, state to Bonagades. Kifu got. He thought Kifu got. Bonaho, we don't do as and he thought Kifu got. Kifu was Pogahotan. He said it all. And we're talking in the language to show you that this is a way of communicating. This is our way of communicating, but as of now, you know, the language is in danger, and we were trying to show the people that this is a beautiful language. It's a privilege to speak it. And so, but like I said, this language has been through a lot. And we're going to go to boarding schools. They were founded to eliminate the traditional American Indian way of life and replace it with mainstream American culture. During 1879 and 1950s, children were removed from their homes, beaten, given messages of inferiority, and the families were told that they were not capable of raising their children and that the Indians are culturally and racially inferior.
Jinda Jimistogi, Abimadi here, Mahago Jogo, Behoja.
Abigo don't do wesan man chabushi dad, Holwejidi Muruk. Abi Honix together. Abigo do mas Magimans Chachki daddy. More mark don't. Oh, as a bee that he do where it is. Oh, as Hadamagifeja, Noctus Kifahani, where did it is. Oh, Nafkiga, or no one. Chachki that fruited. Talking boy, hundred days markets.
Man, Judge that I got to Wanga OS. Just that Adomats. A moan and your judge or lot. A Josh to scare jail. Mongodos. Hobidagi Junija. Fitted a lagidundo. Mahago Jogo Sigiana. Munga, I Hana Chigodo, and that Lagan. Jamie Horgen, Jenna Fogan, Amafaga Hoyan, and that Ambidagi Michagos, Maggot, Ododico Domats, Ada Judge to what? Mohan Chigodos to get it. Ayagomats OS, Judge Kidat, Aigo, Madat, Mi Hojigomats OS, Jeff Kidat, Ichki, Manita Sing, Imelipin, Adult Hoya, they don't know Madat.
Oh, it's the Mifajigit, a boho, you did those tomatoes.
When he gave cities in what Hoyt Marchat.
Nagin Mohabat. He figured, for me, what did he don't do as Shabali Mungalos. We check it, and you are we keep it. Shabali don't know. You know, these boarding schools was a way to change the savage, which was what the Europeans called us. To civilize non-native ways. Not only were the children punished for speaking the language, they were further degraded by cutting their hair and not allowing traditional ways and dress. This was not who we were. This was not our culture. We had our own culture and not to be changed, but we were.
And
more nagging these kids didn't know what they were going to face. But when the government came in and just snatched them up, saying that they weren't very good parents, and put into a culture that they never knew or even seen, we feel for that.
Mas dimanokejido.
Yeah.
Onda hijigo OS.
We never saw it, but it broke our hearts to think that our ancestors, because we are direct descendants to these people that was probably on the trail. And of course, not probably, we were. That's why we're in Oklahoma soil right now. And to have our language, what was our only way of communication with each other, was taken, and we were beaten for something that was given to us by a creator. It hurts us now to even think about that, because right now we speak freely.
Homostogi mo abogat. Hagahijit. Fulawedadi. Onda gisigo OS.
Wanda kisigo dondo as and more this going.
Manjafki amonai domats. Bona siki bonai domats mama.
Man hangi hokti amonaya ma legayat. Shiko sheet. Chocolate des abo abihit. Ishirin bana hoyi mas magas.
Man bonaga madam singit lagi ya.
Yeah.
Onede ya jagat. Mani masaga foya man. Anda rasa na mohanix kohane di anda OS.
You know, we were told by real life people. Her father had been attending a boarding school, and I had a older elderly lady that told me that they had to hide to speak. And when I think about that, it's left the impact. This treatment that the parents received had a great impact on language. Being punished for speaking the Muscogee language. They did not want their children to go through this, and this kept the parents from passing this beautiful language to their children. And that's understandable. That's understandable.
Mandano just manjigejiangi. And it gets laid on OS to just for hangosina moskiga mat. Imbonayak noa, gets it on the wesin. Estimate busgi good ID. To just Sergio. It's a get on the wesin. Not catching on, get again on the wesin. Ah, the buski good ID. In stake bonaga man OS, just keep arguments. Mada, imahai economats. He is taking igana nak jiash noa, Made was in Bonaho, you don't got Mama one, OS, hanyo what? Just what on Jojo Sergi. Pune be a D gun, Maga Gidi hanyo what?
Man, anda punaye donga. OS chahit punay go daido.
Madam one.
Yeah. 241 ishtabakidos. Next door na mahaho you got it.
Stijari doya, Maget.
Nagmawat amahaho you go daido. Next door na mahaho you got it. Magidon don. Mades abohogan. Abohogan me ho you at this conhedo. Monaho you go don.
Was this the sogi Bonaho what? He was sidongo. Mo a biogadas, Yajaga, a man. A village just the yard over stake bonaga man Bonaho what? Still in Magagidi, not Congon. OS the Jari Maho Noani a big. I don't
Mother took Kalgana, a billion napo.
But on the Gitchkadunga, and the Gitchka, Mosongitos, Goedo, OS, but more his Mahogi Madok, but Bokalagito, I can wash about it.
When this language wasn't passed down to their children, that's understandable. We all understand it. We were not only shamed to be what we were created to be,
Oh, yes.
It couldn't have been beaten out of us because we are what we are.
Mhm.
And today we still stand as what we are and what we were created to be.
Mani mona ya gama. Jihi. Unede hanyuat.
And
He say di magidos makja.
I'm married to a full-blood Muscogee Creek. Our children are all full-blood Muscogee Creek. And when he sees me speak in my language, he comes to me sometimes and he says, I don't know why they didn't teach me. I want to speak. I want to be able to communicate with you in our language. And I said, well, maybe it's because your parents went through all this and they didn't want you to go through what they went through. Harsh treatments.
Mhm.
And, but this was the way.
Man meji na. Ihozak no what. Madoris kung I don't want.
Yeah. And this was a way that is being in history as kill the Indian, save the man. And the language was part of being what we were. And this is not a pretty picture. This is not pretty history for us.
Mhm.
In our homelands, when we go, if we ever had a chance to go back to our homelands, I don't know how that would affect us. Because that's where our ancestors, our descendants were. And the language came from that. And when I say harsh treatment, not only, but our language, me and Gracine still speak the language. We still stand. Because even despite the beatings, we still were privileged and proud that this language comes off our tongues.
Because yokedes. The boating. Share hot stronger. Muscogee bonaga. Wagi got not. Story ye di going. Fully waiting ye. Ain't stecky. Do honey di. I guess I
Mada
said.
man Unaf hogi stoazen. Unaf kiriga hoy. Puli hodet. Vidagi un dimil hoje stoazen. Una hoy mongiat. Safatski duit. Sahuogi daidos.
Doso was when any mahonga. Story anda next door. Jamihos not next door on 80 gon. I get the jado. Be the butchka sat. Man, illy jaget mo. And who barely da mo. Me hojigon. Still on 80 going doing that. Just about the 180 going. Any man jelly who you want way to the end that.
Anyo atas to the bakido.
I get that jack no what. More don't know just.
I guess that Sadabako si des hagidos. Mamuat. Unai busay hagidos.
Hageki des.
Yeah.
Hageki des. Ues punayagadi hofon nangi. Istoi. Injo hoyadi. Buhida jajido.
Anyway.
Ues. Hofon nangi madam mi hojigo. Mi hojigo. Na hojagigo. Mi hojigadi. Istoi bona hoyadi. And that. Hiya bona hoyat. Timasakinunga. Hada. Istoi magi. Sokabak noat. Nita ojin. Hada. Bonaga. Masaki do hedi gon agisa jado.
Anda mo hiskoedo. Ponaga tibushi skidunga tibosket. Naka. Ponaga ajulagi des. Pondat kisibigok. Ajulagi pona ho yadi dat. Owes. Ya pona ho yat. Mapumaha ho yadi do. Ajuligit. Ako hindi dun pa.
Abawa sungitong OS, abawa po na ako yan.
This year, when the virus hit the States, we lost speakers to the virus. And of course, this lowered our count even more. So our language is still going through some hard times. And the history is staying with some of our, well, we'll say grandparents. And it's like, it's something that we need to honor. We need to honor our ancestors that walked this trail and was brave enough and persevered enough, no matter what they went through, to make it to where we are today. So, and the virus that hit, seemed like we were losing speakers we were burying speakers week by week.
Nita singit. Nita mogan mundong nga.
And you know, for this virus, we've been through that. We have been through this virus, unknown virus, but this time the unknown was to everybody. At one time, it was just unknown to us. We didn't know what measles, diphtheria that we faced in history affected our tribe at one time. So as we go into the year of the virus, it affected us a lot. But just like before, we stood strong. And even though it took some of our people that spoke, we never forgot them. Our department has, as a language department, we have recordings. We've kept those recordings of these speakers in our very office. We've kept them alive. Even though they're gone, we have them still alive. And that's what we want the language to do, is stay alive. But we are facing some difficult times, but our language is still alive, and the people that went on before with the virus is still alive. It's still alive. We got them on videos, and that's what our language department is all about. We have a hard job that's ahead of us right now. We try to teach, we're attempting to bring back 200 years ago. And we're moving slow. And we are hitting bumps and humps. But our main objective is to save this language. Save this language.
Songi gon gui. Ajihaldui. Mahayat. Hubidagi labush kusap mo. Imahayat. Ajulaga yo. Imahayat gon. OS. Condochino sat. Yukiomodo OS. Ahobok tuis. Miji.
Shabali Louis. Losing our language has had a huge impact on who we are as Native people. We identify with the language as with any other tribe or nationality. With language loss, we have a huge loss. With language loss, we lose our ceremonial songs, our hymns, our healing medicinal prayers that came on the trail. They came on the trail, or we wouldn't know what they were. We carried it over here. What makes us who we are and what we are as people, they're the ones that makes us what we are. The language is the main component of who we are. The action of history has carried on to this present day. We haven't forgotten. We may have to read about it, and we were told in stories by our people, by our families. but it hasn't. It's carried on to this day, and that's why we, as the language department, has tried and are attempting, and I believe we'll succeed because we haven't been beaten yet. We will succeed. OS, shungi bahis maho gadidon doer. Shabagli munget, ayik chinuat. Isti hokonos istuas. Kislahan is kohmet. Kislak noat. Yet ye idalwa. Ishit. Mat. Ishi shatahanidos. Mahokonos istuas in bonahon noat. Mat idalwa hayahis. Gomaido.
Bombonaga, madihi ko si Muscogee dos. Ugejido. Iya. In Hitchka, Dogodos. Bonaga me. Ichi. Man. Mi jinua. Andio. Kumoido. Onai nua. Githap tuados kumi. Imhai nua. Ubidaluji sketch toge. Githagirunga. Bumio. A jihanli. Mi jinua. Nitadak. Hijayis kumwet. Maniklejedo. Humble says makcha. Kumpunata bonana wat. But he thos kumwedo. Ues. Man he jadi. Jaligo monget. Man he jida jachto. Hanget bonagen. Ues. Itlage hidi gon. Ues. Madak. Sumadeji de boyajigodo. Bombonaga madak. Songe gon. Ajihalahani adad. Dos. Amogia no ga. Muscogee amogia. Ajihalit. Mijinawat. Sumegikos.
Mangoedo. Isti mahayat. Nagi. Mahayit. Nagi malgan. Mahayi noat. Isti jarida huihahis kuedo.
Imagine yo mo.
Nagidat. Ohaho yadidat. Somwi gongomet. OS punaget mat. Pumbadaga dondo. Isteduyat. Pumbadaga dondo.
Man hisagida misi bumi pedidonga. Bombanaga.
OS man. Isti idet fullet. Mat isti des dogoduis pogonhoen. Full lady dundo esen. Anyu wat nagi. Haya goshet. Ahuisi dondo. It had a huge impact, like I said. But as people, we have had huge losses. This started back 200 years ago. We lost 3,000 people on a trail. And as we go into the language is our foundation. If we just two people would learn this language, they'll be the atlas of the nation, because that is the foundation of the nation. Without language, we're not considered a nation. We're just people. We don't want to be ordinary people. We want to be citizens, a nation, the great nation, a great nation of the Muscogee people. We don't want to be just citizens. We want to count as somebody that came on that trail and had to fight through all kinds of degrading. Our history has been degrading to us. But to go back,
Ona hugo dai dondo mo. Istui doodi. Sti heki man. Maha. He think me jidomas mahogan. He think a jai jidoas. You check the domina. It's very much a
It's been hard to keep this language alive, but we're working at it. And if people would just say, okay, let's honor what we left behind. Our homelands are in Georgia and Alabama. We are the original descendants from there. And as we move on into this new decade, new century, I have a hope that this nation, that we all will be speaking. And as a people, we're known to be, we gather. And I have grown up, I have seen gatherings where people are just laughing. And at the same time, I've seen them crying, but they were in the language. They were speaking in the language. And me and Miss Hicks, both of us know what that's like. That's why we stand strong trying to teach this language.
Yes.
To get back, because that's who we are. We'll never change who we are. The Mvskoke Language Department has 3 fluent speakers. And our department teaches Head Starts, the college, and employees in an attempt to regain a huge loss that was taken away from us 200 years ago. The nation has 91,000 Muscogee people enrolled, but our guests, this is just being a guest only, maybe 500 speakers left. That's why we stand here, and we're proud of this language department. We have 7 people that works here, and they all put their 2 cents into this language department. We have a manager that works hard at it. We have a assistant that's working hard at it, putting PowerPoints out. We have another teacher. Yep. We have another teacher that teaches language. We have a media. We put out things, resources to hand out. This is all free. This is all free to anybody that wants to learn this language and carry on what we are. Me and Miss Hicks is not going to be here forever. Me and Miss Hicks and I are not going to be here forever.
So we need someone to carry it on.
Carry it on. We need people to carry on our ancestry. Carry on what was taken from us. I feel like at this time and in this point, there's no way anybody, that's one thing that wasn't taken freely from us. Might have been beaten out of us, but it was not taken out of us. There's some that still speaks, that win against the conditions, win against the harsh treatments, and are still speaking today. And I'm very proud of that. And I'm very proud that my family stood strong and said, you're going to learn the language. And I speak it today proudly. It's a privilege to be speaking this. You know, Nagi, Timi is full of this Conwedo, Mahagajogo, but Nagades difficult, Abiyet. Abileho is fully wedded.
Manishkagi of Sibigo Mount.
Dead Nag and Magi Godad, Maneti Godad. Fully wedded is Conwedos. Chagin is a Godado, Wemats, Chachki Maginas. One hope tea hungit, Tijai Bonagakishi don't. Those I take Bonagakishi do it. But Anya Deacon, I famous Maginas. OS then. Take one I got Jackie Matsumakins.
Mungkin tegi sabaro na jual je steak bonaga boni lady anda bisa.
No more, I don't know. 1 month. OS man. Man, who fun ni da dog. Man, church kita tadi dog. OS kuna yet some details. More Piragi Mahayas Chaget. Yikchin, no, we should do much OS. Mahagajago Afat Nagin Shagodunga Ashet. Take Bonaga Gisle, no what? Tijabonaga, Yapidagi, Ubidagi for that, Kikakis Magimats.
Mandaro Donald Comadar. Augusti, this boy on Jahana. It's a Richie Mafia. Name to it.
I think our time is up now, but I just want to say that we're proud to get this language out there. That you gave us this chance to tell about what our language is facing, what they have faced, what it has faced, and what we lived through, and that this language is. So we say Mado Chigezishchi.
Mado.
Thank you so much for sharing with us today. I really appreciate it. Ms. Hicks, you actually have someone in the comments that is emphasizing how important you guys are, which I believe you guys are extremely important. And thank you for sharing your beautiful language with us. But Bronson Harjo says, Ms. Hicks taught me language for 2 years while he was in high school, and he is forever grateful. So,
yeah.
I'm glad he's still talking it.
This language is extremely important. Are there 2 words that you can kind of like for our viewers? Can you teach us hello and goodbye?
Hello is we say istungo or hische, and then we don't have buys.
Oh, okay.
We don't have buys, and that might be because there's that hope that we're always going to see each other. So we'll say, Chihijathis, we will see you again.
Awesome.
That hope.
This has been wonderful. So thank you guys so much. Well, I guess this will conclude this portion of the Moundville Native American Festival. And thank you to the Mvskoke Language Program. We really appreciate them. And please visit their website and see what resources they have as well. We hope that you will join us every day this week for festival at 9, 11, 1 p.m., and 7 p.m. To purchase things from our gift shop, please go visit festival.museums.ua.edu, especially for a schedule of events. If you want to know more about Moundville, please visit moundville.museums.ua.edu. And thank you to everybody who watched with us live and all of those who will watch with us later. Thank you for attending the virtual festival, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
To support Moundville Archaeological Park, please consider visiting festival.museums.ua.edu and clicking Support Moundville at the top of the page.